You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
Nostalgia is one of the strongest forces in the human psyche and is responsible for the continued existence of some of our favorite fandoms. From the minds behind the Dole Up in Dreams podcast and Isolation Cast Voices from Quarantine, Saturday Morning Confidential takes you on a deep dive into the properties that helped influence the artists and creators of today. So whether you are a Goonie, a Gem Girl, a Digi-Destined, or you just want to return to Oz, new episodes release on Fridays bi-weekly starting January 1st of 2021, and join us on the Wednesdays after the main show for the Serial Killer Radio Hour, where we sit down with the people responsible for the toys, shows, and fandoms that you love. Now you can find Saturday Morning Confidential at certainpov.com/SMCpod or on your favorite podcast platforms. So don't forget to tune in for another deep dive into the files of Saturday Morning Confidential.
Hamburguesa.
I'm okay with this one. As long as no one out there takes it and then copyrights it and stuff. Even though I've been talking about it, the concept has been in the wild for 15 years.
No, Target's going to introduce the hamburguesa watch.
Welcome back for another shift on the Geeks Watch. We are here. We're talking about Loki, episode 5, Journey into Mystery. That's right.
What episode is this, Mitch?
I mean, this is episode of the Geeks Watch or episode of Loki?
Of Loki.
Yeah, what
episode
episode?
5.
Oh, yeah, episode 5. I thought...
It's
Journey into Mystery?
And it's the one before...
Oh. It's the penultimate. I'm glad that is a running joke. We're gonna do it on every show that we watch.
I need I'm for this.
Like if this isn't 11 pages, you can't do that here.
Watch me.
No, I am I'm sad that it's the second to last episode and everything. Similar to WandaVision, it feels like there should be so much more.
I feel like there should be so much more because we haven't gotten a lot. At least that's for me. So, but we'll get into that. We'll talk about that when we get into the episode. Steven, I think you had something you needed to do here.
What? Mitch, I forgot. This is supposed to be where I introduce what the show is?
Nope, this is where you introduce everybody. Because I'm so terrible about getting people to say hi.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the first time I'm doing this. Today, I am joined... I'm Steven. I am joined by the man himself, the CEO, all of the titles of Geekly Media, Mitch.
I'm cutting all of that out.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
And his lovely, fantastically talented, and incredible on her own fiancée, Elizabeth.
Hi.
And then my the other person who joins me on our book podcast, Love of Pages, Jess.
Hi.
And then the man himself. Like I should have put you in the penultimate position in this one. I realized.
You know what? That's okay because this puts me in the ultimate penal position.
Oh my god. That you can cut out.
Nope. That's not getting cut out.
That's John.
Hi. This is what you get with me.
All right. Now that we've all been introduced, we're going to get into our week's watch. So, Elizabeth, what did you watch this week?
So I was going to talk about the movie actually 4 of the 5 of us got to go watch together yesterday. Steven, unfortunately, is experiencing life in a much funner city, so he had plenty of other things to do.
I went to the airport last night.
Hey, that's more than we did. No, we went to go see Black Widow, which was excellent. But
You can talk about that.
well,
Just don't
I don't know if
spoil it.
anybody else wants to talk about
Yeah, just
it.
don't spoil it.
No,
I
you
mean,
first.
Really?
No,
You go
you
first.
earned this by going first all these times. You have earned the right to
Yeah,
to just
take
take
it.
this movie from them.
I mean, I don't feel like that's what we agreed to, but I'll roll with it. No, it was absolutely excellent. I obviously do not come into any of these MCU movies or anything of that nature with any background in what the comics say or what's supposed to have occurred. I don't even usually watch the trailers. Mitch just says, we're going to see this movie. And I go, okay, we're going to see this movie. And off we go. I do a lot of pre-research on this stuff, but I thought it was really excellent. I very much enjoyed which has become pretty standard in the MCU stuff, the comedy that comes with the action, which is always fun, lightens the mood. But no, overall, I enjoyed it in theaters. It was good to be back watching something with everybody, even if John struggled to sit through 2 hours worth of movie.
Yeah, it's we'll talk about that.
Like a diarrhea issue.
No, it's just just you take for granted that at home you can pause the movie and go to the bathroom whenever.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, it's time to go right now.
No,
I-
the best part of the fact that John had to go to the bathroom in the new movie is that he's tall enough, and since we sat in the back row, his head got into the projector, so everybody got to see John get up and go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's why it was entertaining.
Did I block out like a key scene or something? Like,
I mean, not all of
No,
the
it wasn't
scene.
that bad.
You just saw this like head on the lower part of the screen kind of walk by.
So that
like a
was
note.
John. Okay.
There's like a note that's on screen for like half a second, and the person reacts to it. They're like, "How could you write that about me?" And John blocked just the note out.
Pretty much. But so no, overall, I thought it was excellent and definitely worth your dollars to go back into the theaters. Plus, you get movie popcorn, which is very different than what we get at home.
Yep.
Even if Mitch has all the gadgets and all the salts. But yeah, so that's what I watched this week.
I think I'd say my favorite part of the movie, and it's not specific enough, but it's just the interaction between the 4 family members, quote unquote family members, and how they very much treat themselves like an arguing family. So if you watch the other Florence Pugh movie that she put out, the Fighting with My Family, about that was her, right? Yeah. It's was that her?
Paige?
I don't know.
You're
No
asking the
idea.
wrong person.
I think it was her. It's her
I'll find out.
talking about it's being the wrestler, being a professional wrestler.
Is
and
it
stuff.
Paige?
Yeah, being the
Florence
professional.
Pugh was in this. Yeah.
Okay.
Can she just get along with her family in any movies? She was
guess
one of
not.
the women also.
But yeah, they do it's the whole like just bickering part. Like even though they're in the middle of a big shootout scene, they're bickering with each other like as if they were family members, and I thought that was the best part for me.
Elizabeth, as a person who doesn't necessarily watch the movie with like an eye to the exact same kind of points as the rest of us do sometimes, like
Yeah.
Mitch or I will like nitpick this or that. Jess will like sometimes talk about like the plot of something. Like depending on the person, everyone has a different thing they watch for. Did you come away with any particular favorite character from this movie?
Probably that's really hard because they all had their positives and negatives. Probably the sister, Elena.
Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh, Elena.
Florence Pugh,
That's
Elena.
what I was curious if you came away with that same thing,
Yeah.
because that's what everyone has said about this movie so far.
Because I mean, Scarlett Johansson is always fantastic, but she was very much I've already seen her character, and this is very much just an extension of her character. It's not like she comes to terms with more of her past, but she doesn't. There's not a massive character growth. Whereas I feel like with the sister, there is a decent amount of character growth, and she's just a newer character, and I think she's fun.
Okay.
I don't think I gave anything away.
I don't think so either. I just want to bring up this is written by the same person who wrote the WandaVision episodes, Jack Schaefer. So we have that continuity going on there. This is directed by Kate Shortland, who has done other work, a lot of TV work, but I don't really know a lot of her other directing stuff. Lore being one of the stuff that she directed.
The Amazon series?
I think it's a movie, not a series.
Huh.
Yeah, it says it's a movie.
Oh, interesting.
Elizabeth,
'Cause I'm with
went to
you.
that one too. Yeah. Right.
I'm like, wait, no, she didn't. I know. That is not. Nope, that doesn't work.
So, hey, the other two that went and saw the movie, any other thoughts that you had?
It did a good job of pointing out things I've had issues with the Black Widow character, and I quite enjoyed that. I don't know if it's spoilery or not, but like the character of Black Widow kind of gets made fun of in a way that I'm like, yes, these are things that I've pointed out about her that annoyed me in the previous Avenger films.
Yeah, to quote British slang, they take the piss out of the Black Widow a lot in this one, and it was fantastic.
Yeah. But like in a nice way. Because I do like the Black Widow character, but there were things about how she's directed that I don't love, and they kind of pointed that out.
Is it like, does like Florence Pugh, like they like drop into a scene to go into a fight and they like both stand up after jumping out of the helicopter, and Florence is like, why do you always stick your chest out when you stand up? Like,
Yes.
is it that kind of thing?
It's like that kind of thing, exactly. And it's like I clapped when that.
Okay.
Yes, like why? But there were still a good amount of butt shots. But
Well, of course.
so, but I mean, no, it was a really good, strong, female empowering film as well. So I liked it. I liked everything about it. It was exactly what I wanted it to be, and a little bit more.
John, real quick, do you think the appearance, do you think any of the MCU TV shows would have been made stronger by this coming out in the original intended order?
I kind of don't want to comment on it because it could be somewhat spoilery, but there is one show that could have slightly benefited a little bit if this had come out first before the show aired.
Okay.
But not by much. It's very negligible.
Okay.
All right. Well, there you go. Black Widow is in theaters now, and is it also premium access on Disney Plus?
Yeah,
Yes, it
you
is.
pay the $30.
Okay, you can get it on Disney Plus, and keep looking to the rest of Geek Elite Media because we'll be talking about this movie all week on a lot of our other podcasts. So
We're going to talk about that on Love Pages this week.
Yeah.
Steven, what did you watch this week?
So, Naima, my significant other, was out of town for a little bit. She's on a bit of a vacation before starting a new job. So I was just doing random odds and ends and random stuff around the apartment. One of the things I ended up doing was getting our HBO Max app to work on our television again, because it just hasn't worked. I've been wanting to watch Craig of the Creek and a million other things because they have such a good selection, but I haven't been able to. When I actually got the app working, though, I wasn't in the mood for any of the other things that I've been wanting to watch over all this time. So I was like, well, I've already searched the other apps. Like, I'm in that situation where you're standing in the aisle with a million flavors of Pringles, and I want none of them. So in this situation, I actually ended up beginning watching Westworld.
Oh,
Yeah. I think Westworld is one of those shows where the way that people have talked about it, like so many other TV shows, just the way that people talk about it put me off of it. And I was like, I don't care about watching this, because everyone's like, basically people talk about Westworld. In my experience, people talked about Westworld in a way that's kind of similar to the way people talk about Black Mirror, where they just end up talking about that early episode of Black Mirror where the politician has to have like sex with a pig.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I am not interested in that at all. I understand the story is like it's about the further implications of those things in that episode, and then also for Westworld also. But Westworld, everyone was just like, yeah, people have sex with those robots all the time, and they go shoot people. I want at least one person to have just been talking about the deeper implications of the stuff.
Well, I have a podcast for you,
yeah,
Steven.
there was a lot of conversation about exactly that somewhere in the internet, I'm sure.
Is that a Geeks Watch thing? Is that when you guys talked about back when?
Maybe it might have been.
It's just like in casual conversation, like water cooler talk. No
Yeah.
one was like, "Oh no, yeah." I mean, like the show really made me wonder, like like what is life?
But see, that's the same issue that you had with like Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like most people are just like, it's boobs and dragons. Like, but I mean, there are definitely bigger, deeper things in both shows.
Yeah, and what was the one a while back? Ex Machina, same thing. Like everyone was just like, "Yeah, that was a hot robot. She wanted to have sex with that dude," and that's not what I want. Tell me the other things. But yeah, no. So Westworld, I'm 3 episodes in so far. Honestly, it's good and everything. I do think that the way that people talk about it does it a disservice because I think the show does a really good job of showing the things that other people do to people, but not showing those people that they're doing those things to, those sexual acts, in a position where they're sexualizing the act that is happening to them, this crime. And that's really important. In Game of Thrones, I think Game of Thrones didn't do a good job of that at times, where they would show something and people would still watch this crime that's being perpetrated against somebody in a lewd manner. Westworld does not do that, and I appreciate that very much.
Fair.
I hope you stick with it because it does go places. And
literally.
Yeah.
That's the thing that made me want to come back around was when people were talking about a couple of the later seasons. It's like, okay, no, yeah, I'm curious about that.
I will always be amazed that Westworld is written by Michael Crichton and Jurassic Park is written by Michael Crichton.
Hey, he wrote Timeline too, and Timeline's awesome.
And Sphere.
I mean, I like a lot of his stuff. I'm just saying both stories are about amusement parks where the attractions go crazy and kill people.
Westworld was written, he did that one in like the 70s or something, right?
Like 72.
So then later he's like, you know what? Let's go back to it, but let's do dinosaurs.
Yeah,
see if that has any better luck.
He's like, the sex really put people off. What doesn't have sex? Dinosaurs.
Maybe he tried to have sex with the dinosaurs first, and he's like, wait, let's not do that.
Oh.
Well, originally this next sequel after Jurassic Park 3 was supposed to have human dinosaur hybrids, so they could have worked that in there.
It's true. The concept art's bad. But yeah, that was Westworld though. I don't think it's for everyone, but if someone wanted that kind of like actual like existence exploratory kind of story, I think it's a good one so far.
So I hope that we revisit this somewhere later because Mitch and I always disagree on what makes consciousness. And that's something that's really hotly debated on this show as well.
Interesting. I'll be curious to see to find out about this one. Oh, also, I forget his name right now. Played Odin. He's in Westworld.
Anthony Hopkins?
Yeah. Sir Anthony.
Sir.
Yeah, that's true. He earned it. Yeah, Sir Anthony Hopkins. He acts the shit out of that show.
He does.
Yeah.
Like every time he starts doing a monologue, that monologue could be incredibly cheesy if shot slightly different, if delivered by any other actor, like any of those things, it could have just gone off the rails into terrible cheese. Dude, but when he says a thing, I'm like,
there's some videos back when we were watching the show that would break down his acting and like people who are like acting teachers or coaches, and like, look how he delivers his lines here, and this is like a master class in like dialogue delivery. Because if you just read this, it's like super mundane and like dumb, but he gives he knows how to pause exactly at the right moment and give certain words a certain inflection. And his eye work, apparently, it's really interesting. I'll send it to you. It's really cool.
I'd be super curious because honestly, like there are so many people who deliver an acting role. Or deliver a line in some role, and it just feels flat immediately. Even these people who are supposed to be really good actors, it will fall flat. But I haven't gotten that from him at all. And there's like that moment in Thor where he like barks at Tom Hiddleston in a scene, and like they didn't know he was going to do that, and Tom Hiddleston goes, "Oh," and that was an actual reaction. Like, he wasn't in character for that. He was like, "Oh shit, my bad." So no, yeah, if for nothing else, I think watching him in this, and then the gentleman who was in Cadillac Records in this, whose name I forget. He was also in Hunger Games. He plays the technician who works directly under him.
Jeffrey Wright?
Yes. He's also a fantastic actor. I love him so much, and I wish he was in more things, even though he's in a lot. I want him to be.
He is in a lot, and he's going to be in the Batman. He's James Gordon.
Yeah,
I liked him in the new Daniel Craig Bond movies.
Yeah, he plays Felix. What?
Faust.
Something lighter.
Phoenix Lighter.
Something like that.
Felix Lighter.
I don't know.
Felix. Okay.
But yeah,
the American
he's
agent.
The American
James
agent, yeah.
Bond always.
He's just so
Oh,
good.
yes, Felix.
Yeah, Felix. I don't remember his last name.
Anyway,
James Bond people over here. You guys are all supposed to know this stuff.
It's
I
always
don't
Felix.
ever know
It's
actors.
legit
Yeah.
always Felix.
so ends my longest week's watch of the past like 8 months.
This is true. This is true. Which is on HBO Plus or HBO, depending on which one you have.
What was that service, Mitch?
HBO Max. Sorry, it's not my fault they decided to go with a different naming convention.
Everyone has a plus.
Hey, I'm still using HBO Go.
You're still using HBO Go? All right, Jessica, what did you watch this week?
I haven't really watched a lot. I've been listening because I, for whatever reason, got an Audible premium subscription. And because somebody on the Love of Pages podcast finally got me into listening to audiobooks.
Yes, it's so good.
Yeah. So I had 2 credits to start with, and I decided to get Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman.
Ooh.
But it's a full BBC cast production of it. So it's not quite like somebody reading the book. It's more like listening to a radio show.
Yeah, it's like an audio play.
Yeah, like an audio play. It's full BBC cast, so it's utterly excellent. And I'm blanking on who is in it. She was the lady that was in Game of Thrones with the smirk that dies in the green
Natalie
flame.
Dormer.
Natalie Dormer, yeah.
Natalie Dormer's in it. Trying to click on it so I can figure it out. But
I know
not
they
working.
also did the same thing for Neil Gaiman's Sandman.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, they're doing it. I think they just came out with episode 1 not that long ago. I'm having issues. with
I
my
love radio
internet.
plays and audio dramas so much. There's one that they did for Neuromancer a long time ago. That's really good. Also a BBC production.
I got it. James McAvoy is the main character in it.
Oh yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch is very excellent in it as well. And Christopher Lee was in it? I thought I recognized. Okay. So there was a lot of big BBC name people in it. I know. Dooku! Yeah. It was just great and fun to listen to. And then I also got, I guess, kind of a YA novel / new adult. Not that new adult ever actually became a thing, but the characters are in their 20s. But it reads more like a YA. I'm currently obsessed with it right now. So it's called For the Wolf by Hannah Witten. And I mainly got it because the cover of it is really nice. It's like this awesome greenish birchwood forest with this girl in a cloak. And then in the shadow of the cloak is like a silhouette of a castle and a dagger. And it's really nice. Cool. It's a awesome fantasy that's like a retelling of Red Riding Hood and Beauty and the Beast shoved together, which always works very well. But it has kind of a surprise twist of a magical forest, and it's interesting and unique, and I'm already happy with the projected ending of it, but there's too many chapters left for it to end that way, so I'm very scared to finish it. So, but I think it's gonna have a sequel. Probably it's YA, so it's gonna have a sequel. But
It's got to be a trilogy.
Yeah, but
every time.
yeah, that one's really good, and I can't remember who does the recording for it. And my app doesn't seem to want to
Is
work.
it someone of note or someone who predominantly does audiobooks?
I don't know because I'm not good with names, so I wouldn't know. But I just know whoever is doing it, she's really good. She does really good gravel on her voice for like the lead male's voice, and like she's really good at switching her voice for characters. Or is like of the few I've listened to, like if you get one that doesn't do that and there's a lot of dialogue, it can get really confusing.
Yeah.
But she does a good job of being able to get, oh, this person's talking. Like she just puts slight accents within it, and like you can still hear it's from the same person, but it's different enough that you're like, oh, like I know who's speaking before she even says who is speaking, kind of thing.
For this one, with having a good audiobook under your belt,
Mm-hmm.
does it change anything of how you feel about them? / how nice is it to just get to go about your life and still be taking in a book?
It is. That's actually why I'm doing it. So one of the reasons I'm gonna put in a plug for something I'm obsessed with right now. I recently got bone conduction headphones that rest outside the ear and that vibrates to your bone by Aftershocks. And they're so comfortable for me to wear in the long run, because one of the reasons why I don't do audiobooks a lot is I find pretty much all headphones uncomfortable. Like even the super big over ear ones, they squish the top of my ear and then it ends up getting sore. And the inner ear ones just, I don't know what's wrong with one of my ears, but it just hurts after wearing them for like an hour. So these Aftershocks, super comfortable, so I can wear them a lot. I literally have them on all the time, and I'm listening to books all the time because they're comfortable. But the bad thing about audiobooks for me is it kind of makes the characters even more real. So I think if I talk back to them, they'll listen to me. So I end up going, oh my God, you idiot. Like I'm just like out loud while I'm like cleaning in the kitchen. My mom's like, what are you doing? So like that's, and I think even more attached to them because I'm finding it harder to want to finish audiobooks out of fear of something that will go wrong than I would an actual book, because they have a voice that's not my own inner voice. So I'm more connected to them, and I'm like, no, I don't want them to mess up. Like it hurts a little more, I guess. So even though you see it coming, but no, I quite enjoy it. I don't think I've had a bad reader yet, so I'll see how it is when you get a really bad one. But yeah, I enjoy it.
Know that if this does happen, Audible allows you to return the thing. You just have to identify this early on in your experience. You can return it, get a different audiobook, no questions asked.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
All right, Audible. There's a nice little plug. We should see if we can get affiliated with them. Have our own Audible code. John, what did you watch this week?
Well, I mean, you won't be able to use Geek Out as your promo code because it looks like somebody else already claimed it. But just a couple of things I wanted to point out real quick. It is Felix Leiter. And also wanted to mention that Black Widow passed the Bechdel test.
I mean, obviously.
Well, yeah, I would hope so.
There was a lot of conversation between the two female leads, and I would hope they would not be always talking about dudes.
Yeah, and when they do, it's not in a romantic fashion. It's like, we need to kill this guy.
I don't think it has to be in a romantic fashion, does it? Does the Bechdel test...
I think it does specify romantic.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've always taken it as romantic, and the fact that things still don't pass that one, it's like, damn.
Well, like I remember when I first heard about it, like a lot of people do take it as romantic, but like the original comic strip that it's based off of, they just say talk about a man, and it doesn't matter if it's a father figure or a boss or what. It just says not supposed to be talking about a man.
Well, that will depend then on your interpretation of the comic at that point. But anyway, so I'm all caught up right now with The Bad Batch. If Jess has not seen the latest episode, then remove your headphones for like a minute. Okay. So, The Bad Batch is doing some interesting stuff because they're introducing characters and reintroducing characters in mostly an earlier point in the canon now. So we get Fennec Shand appear in The Bad Batch. So we're seeing sort of a bit of an origin story for her. We're seeing how she's kind of sort of getting into the auxiliary of the clone troopers. We find out that the little clone girl named Omega is in fact a direct clone, much like Boba Fett was, of Jango Fett. She just happens to have double X chromosome for some reason. That hasn't been made clear why that was a specific choice, or if that was just like how she came out. But she is the Omega to Boba Fett's Alpha. And we also got to see some characters from Rebels now. We had Kanan in the first episode, but now we also got to see the pilot, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, so I'm going to just pull it up on screen. It's Syndulla. And you get to see her be introduced along with Chopper, the orange and gray droid from Rebels. So they're basically using the Bad Batch as sort of a backdoor to a lot of the stuff that's being established in the new canon and introducing characters in an earlier point in time. So that's kind of interesting that they're doing that. I think we're on episode 12 of 18 right now, so the season's not ended yet, but they're definitely building up towards something. Oh, and we also got the reintroduction of a fan favorite called Cad Bane, a bounty hunter from the original Clone Wars series, who people really liked. And I'm guessing that we're going to also...
with the cowboy hat?
Yes.
The android with a cowboy hat?
He's like a cyborg.
Oh, okay.
I have a feeling we're also going to get reintroduced to Darth Maul, because the last time we saw him was in the season finale of Clone Wars Season 7, the last one, where he escaped along with Ahsoka. And we're probably going to start seeing his rise to the criminal empire of Black Sun, which we later see referenced in Solo. So I'm sure that's still in the pipeline. We still have to see why exactly Omega is important, even though we know that she's a direct descendant now, technically, of Jango Fett. She could be necessary in order to help make more clone troopers, or there could be something more to her. We still don't quite know yet.
Can we bring Jessica back now?
Yes.
Oh my god, I can't believe C-3PO is related to Jabba the Hutt. That's crazy. Oh, sorry, Jess. I didn't know you were back on.
What, sir? C-3PO, the droid that was built by Anakin Skywalker.
No. It's the actor as Tony Daniels, right?
Anthony Daniels,
Anthony Daniels is actually related to the guy who originally played Jabba the Hutt in the movie.
It's strange that all comes up in the last episode of Bad Batch, though.
Nice break.
All right. John, did you have anything else that you want to say that's not spoilery?
No.
All right. Well, there you go. The Bad Batch is on Disney Plus, right? It's Plus, not Max. Not.
Yeah, it's Plus.
Okay.
Yeah. Am I gonna like the episode, John?
Honestly,
I gonna cry?
It depends on how you feel about Rebels.
Oh, I like it.
Okay.
Not capital R Rebels. Lowercase r. Rebels.
Just Rebels in general.
In general, yeah. Throughout history, how do you feel about most Rebels?
Like Zapatistas and so on.
All right. For my week's watch, I also watched something on HBO Max. I watched Steven Soderbergh's new movie, No Sudden Move.
Oh.
I have one giant bone to pick. It is that I am... Just one? Because the movie is actually good. The acting is phenomenal because he, always, Steven Soderbergh gets great performances out of an amazing cast, and it's a huge cast. We even get full-on Brendan Fraser back on screen as himself. Not HBO Max. He's Robot Man from what's the show? What's the name of it's Squad? No, is it Squad?
Yep.
No. I can't think of the name. Whatever. He's Robot Man.
Steven's feeling like a torturer.
So, with this, you actually see him. He's on screen. We have Don Cheadle. You have Benicio del Toro, Frankie Shaw. It's a whole bunch of people in this movie. The only problem is that Steven Soderbergh in this movie in the two before this, High Flying Bird
It's shot the same way?
It's shot with an iPhone.
Yes.
No, this is terrible. Like in Unsane, it was great. It did great for that movie. Like I totally made me feel like that character was being gaslit and like going crazy because of what she knew. But now he's doing ultra wide shots, and the iPhone can't handle that. He throws on the extra lens to make it a wide shot, and everything in the corners is darkened and distorted. Like
that's a lens thing. That's
what I'm saying. He has to throw a lens on there to get the big wide shots.
Well, but I mean, like you can have a wide lens that doesn't do that. That's an artistic decision.
Yeah.
Like an Army of the Dead.
No, I understand, but I think it's because of the iPhone. Like,
No,
I'm pretty sure because
no.
Okay, all right.
I'm just saying, like, because there's nothing about the sensor of the iPhone that would cause that to happen. The sensor,
but the type of lens that you would have to get to fit to the iPhone.
No, they have like a whole crazy rig. Like they have stuff that's all custom built and everything.
I'm just saying, I've never seen that on anybody else's film in that particular way.
I think it's an artistic decision for them to do it because there's nothing that would make that happen. The sensor itself wouldn't do this. Using another lens doesn't necessarily cause that either. With that kind of like vignette effect.
Then if he's doing that on purpose, it's just the wrong decision because it makes the movie look terrible.
I think if they're shooting extra wide, he's trying to make you focus on the middle part while still having the scene by doing a vignette effect on the outside.
If that's true, then you shouldn't have people walking in from the side of the scene.
I would agree.
Exactly. But yeah, there's a lot of that throughout the whole movie, which upsets me. But other than that, it is a good movie. That it's not particularly based on a true story, but it has true events in it. And the whole motive for the heist, because this is a noir heist movie, is kind of a twist at the end. So I won't reveal what that could possibly be.
The show, the show you were looking for is Doom Patrol, by the way.
No, he wasn't supposed to know.
He would have looked it up eventually.
It's true.
It would have just came to me eventually.
It's like League,
Squad,
Patrol,
something Patrol. Oh, Doom Patrol. There it
League
is.
Squad Force.
That's right.
But yeah. Honestly, I'm curious. I didn't know that he had released another in this whole like iPhone production trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, I liked Unsane, and High Flying Bird on Netflix was decent, very slow, but this one is slow too, but it's a very slow burn, so it is enjoyable.
As much as I really want for the iPhone production thing to be something that can take off in a bigger way and have someone do something big with it, the dynamic range for the iPhones, it's just not there in the regard that it needs to be. Like, even though they're shooting stuff in D-Log and everything, and then like using other apps and stuff that allows them to control stuff in the manner that you want for good quality production, it's just not there. It still has the certain kind of quality to it. I shoot everything digital. I'm not some big like film snob or anything. I think Quentin Tarantino can fuck off. But like for this one, like, well, no, Quentin Tarantino. I have strong words for Quentin Tarantino, just in general.
I mean, but your biggest point of contention is his filming choices.
Yeah, not his directing choices.
His directing choices can be bad. Also, at times, his scripts don't necessarily shine all the time. Like people talk.
I was more in how abusive he can be, but
that part's also very bad. It's just that the dude seems to be like at the forefront of saying like film is the only way to do this. He bought that whole theater just to have everything only be projected there off of film, no digital projection or anything. But no, there's just something that's not there in using an iPhone for this. Like their digital cameras with like the Arri Alexa like shoots beautiful things digitally. The iPhone's not there. Steven Soderbergh, whatever money you're taking from Apple, I'm glad that you're getting it. But like, it's okay to use a different camera sometimes.
John Hamm is also in this movie, and of course, David Harbour is in this movie.
Damn,
we're going to talk about later. The only thing is that there's obviously no good female roles in this movie, and the ending kind of falls apart, in my opinion.
Oh, so that's a Soderbergh movie.
That's also a Soderbergh movie.
If you said like the broad strokes things of this sounds like what was that? The movie that we watched there's the hotel that's on the border of like California and Nevada or something.
I mean, I love that movie,
Mm,
but
Bad Times at the El
Bad
Royale.
Times,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that one, like massively awesome cast. There's like one female role, but even that role is kind of like it's not as strong as it could be at times. And I
There
think
was
the end
multiple
does fall
female
apart.
roles in that one.
But they're not like super strong though.
you don't think Cynthia Rivas' character is super strong?
I feel like there was at
there's a
least
strong character, but I still feel like there's times where they get pushed
I
down
would-
for plot reasons.
argue strong. I would say 3 are strong.
Maybe it's just
For
been too
sure,
long for me.
2.
Daisy Johnson's character and Daisy Johnson's character's sister.
No, but Daisy Johnson is one of them.
Is it Daisy? Is
So
her first
she's-
name Daisy?
I think so. Yeah, the
From
50
the-
Shades of Grey.
Places?
Yeah,
Right
50
now.
Shades of Grey.
Yeah, I think it's.
No,
I don't know.
that was
No, something
Dakota.
Dakota Johnson.
Dakota Johnson, yeah.
That's
Oh,
right.
it's Dakota.
D. Johnson.
Yeah,
Don
she was
Johnson's
one of the
daughter.
strong one, and then the lady that gets away in the end.
Cynthia
No, no.
Rivas.
Yeah,
There's still like
there's
good
at least
characters and stuff.
2, but I know
they
there
get-
was one more character that I was
I think
he was
well,
evil though.
they just get dookied on for plot reasons that I think their characters would necessarily go for.
Dude, the guy at the beginning of the movie was Ron Swanson.
Yep,
In
he's
like
a good actor.
a thankless
He's a
role.
good actor. Like he's really good.
What?
Like in Devs, he's fantastic also.
He is great in devs.
Oh,
Well,
Anyway.
No Sudden Move is on HBO Max.
That's
can-
the name of this one.
You can watch that if you're a big fan of Steven Soderbergh.
Wait. I have a thought then, because I saw the art that they have that accompanies that movie. If that's that one, looking at it, I was like, wow, it's not like an actual art piece that they used for that. That's like a picture put through an app to make the painter look for it. Maybe he used the iPhone for that too.
They used a Tune Me app.
I mean, dude, honestly, it looks. I don't know. That's neither here nor there. Anyway, sorry.
All right, let's get into talking about Loki episode 5, the penultimate episode, Journey into Mystery.
Hey, that's a good title.
It is,
wonderful
right?
title.
I am disappointed that we didn't get to see more of President Loki. Like, literally, I feel like that's an image that was teased to us since the beginning, and he's barely in the episode.
I want to get more Croaky. That's the one I want.
So
Okay.
is it a crocodile or is it an alligator?
It's an alligator,
Yeah.
but the nickname for it is
The
Croaky
name.
because there's
Yeah.
just not Logator. Loader.
Loki?
they
Goki?
just
A
they
Loki?
don't- it doesn't-
A Loki? Like it just doesn't
Alagoki?
flow like Croaky. Alagoki.
it sounds like a literary device.
Alagoki.
We can call him Groku.
Croak.
But yeah, no, that's who I want more of. Also, like, I'm really curious about the hammer that the I forget the
Boastful?
actual.
Boastful.
Yeah,
It's
boastful.
boastful.
Is his hammer actually any good, or is it just purely like a vanity
It just
thing?
looks
I
like
thought it was a vanity thing.
just
I
looks
think
like
it's
it's
just
a
a
combination
vanity
Loki, so
of
it's probably
steel.
vanity.
And then obviously, like, someone here is going to end up talking about him, but we got Throg.
Did we get Throg in the episode?
Yep.
Yeah,
I missed it.
If you watch,
when they were panning down into the ground. There's a part
Oh,
where you see a hammer
was
and
that-
then like a thing. You hear like this like.
I didn't know
and
that
it's
was
him in a jar.
Throg. I just saw a mini Thor. I thought it was just a shrunken down Thor. I didn't realize it was a frog.
if you watch the video of Easter eggs I sent to the group,
I hadn't watched the episode yet, so I wasn't going to watch the video.
Honestly, I just watched the episode. I saw this happening and I was like, wait. But the way that Disney Plus works, if there's like a lot of motion on screen at times, it will get kind of muddy, and
Yeah.
all of the colors are really similar in that scene. So I totally forgive anyone for not catching that there's a moving object and then it's a frog, because everything's like dark gray brown.
Which I want to know, why is there so many lunch trays in the ground?
if you watch that video, it will point
Well,
out.
just tell me, John.
John.
So they pointed it out that those are the same trays that they use at the TVA. So it looks like rather than recycle, they just send all their trash to this pocket world also.
So
Which
that's just
honestly
a,
makes perfect sense. That's
That
exactly
fits.
what humans would do.
They
That
also had
fits.
like all of those juice boxes like that one guy was drinking, the Boku or
The
whatever it was
Ecto-Cooler?
called. No, not that one. But that was a cool reference though. I really enjoyed that. The little Ghostbusters reference there.
Yes, our 4 Lokis that meet up with Tom Hiddleston when he gets to the end of time, the void. We have Kid Loki, Croaky, Classic Loki, and Boastful Loki. And then Eliath? Is that what was that the name? Eliath?
Which a cool design. The first moment you see him, he's like, "Oh, okay, this is kind of cool." But then later on, you see him more in action and everything, and they really maintain the whole dog skull look.
Oh, yeah, it was cool.
Very cool.
Which
It's
is
like something from a video game. I loved
Apparently-
it.
It feels like the never-ending story to me.
It's looking
Yeah,
like
thank
Cave.
you. That's what I
I got Cave of Wonders vibes.
Yeah, I got Cave of Wonders also.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's where I got from. I was just say, which is a character from the comic books, apparently. Like, or is a entity from the comic books.
Ooh.
But yes, it was the big bet. You know what? Actually, what it got me was the Stephen King book story. I've only ever watched the made-for-TV movie, but when the
Langoliers.
The Langoliers, yes, the thing that eats up time after it's supposed to be the past or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I got from it. So
Yep.
I kept thinking, I kept wanting to say Tommy Knockers, but I knew that wasn't right.
Dude, Stephen King's just got so much shit out there.
It's true.
Yeah.
So as our Tom Hiddleston Loki is constantly like, "Hey, what can we do to get out of here?" and the other 4 keep telling him, "You can't get out of here." They make it to Kid Loki's lair, which he is the king,
Yes.
the king of the land, because he killed his Thor, which I guess is his TVA variant,
Nexus event.
His Nexus event. Yeah.
his Nexus event.
I was curious. It's not like new things get dropped into this all the time. Like new things get dropped into here, but the chances of a lot of ecto coolers ending up here seems pretty low. So, did he whip out an ecto cooler just to drink in front of the new Loki to show off? And this was like one of his like last 2 or something.
Yes.
No, there was
For sure.
there was a variant timeline where Ghostbusters 2016 was a hit, and so like they had to prune that whole thing.
They're just like, get it out of here.
He's got like cases and cases of it.
All the excess ecto cooler had to go away. Is that where all the like extra ET video games went? ET the extraterrestrial video games?
Ooh.
Actually, I'm glad you mentioned the video games, because in that lair there's a Polybius machine.
Which is awesome.
Yes,
It's awesome.
That was
Like,
a great reference.
Okay, for the rest of us who don't know what Polybius is, or a Polybius machine, or a reference to,
John, take it away.
Okay, so there was this I guess conspiracy theory or urban legend that
But there is supposed to be a photo?
yes, there is. I mean, that could have been doctored, but whatever. So the story goes that there was this one arcade machine that was released in like a couple of locations, maybe in the Pacific Northwest, somewhere in like the Seattle, Washington area, maybe, where this game was released that was like super addictive. Kids were just pouring quarters into it. Nobody can remember what the game was actually like, but supposedly people got seizures from playing it, and then like the government came in and like took the machines out and like never heard from again.
People also came by and like wrote down information like stats.
Yeah,
off of
like
the
people
thing.
were like collecting data from it somehow, and it was just this whole thing. And it's been referenced in other media also. There was an episode of The Simpsons where they had a Polybius arcade in the background. The Angry Video Game Nerd did a whole video on it, just discussing the history of it.
There's also a recent episode of the conspiracy theory podcast, true crime kind of thing at times. Red Web. They also talked about Polybius recently.
now, what year was this?
This is like Atari era.
Yeah,
for
like
video
early
games.
80s.
So why didn't this end up in Ready Player One? It seems like it's right up the alley.
I think it got mentioned in the book, but the movie is never going to touch that.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's
I don't remember it in the book.
I mean,
Maybe it's
that would be one of 37 million references.
This is true.
plus nobody really can like knows what the game was actually like. Like I would imagine it was something similar to Tempest, where it was just like it's just shapes on the screen kind of spinning around, but like nobody really knows if it was
It's
even
just-
real.
It's just a mass hallucination. Everybody just
Mandela
thinks,
effect.
yeah, exactly. Everybody thinks they remember it, but they don't.
Honestly, if you tried to describe Tempest, if someone played that somewhere, that would be a near indescribable game. Because like Tempest as a game, you're like, if someone described Tempest to you, like you move this little thing back and forth on the bottom of this weird shape. no one would understand why that's a game, what the point of it is, and why the fuck you enjoyed it.
It's like, and what the controller looks like too, because it's like it's not a joystick.
All right. The history of the 80s video games.
This isn't the only conspiracy theory reference, by the way. We're going to jump ahead only because I want to touch up on it now. The USS Eldridge was literally dropped in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I thought it was going to be the Manhattan Project when I first saw it.
Close. It was the Philadelphia experiment.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So-
with the Philadelphia, I mean, they had that movie. That's the same ship.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's the ship that was allegedly experimenting with cloaking technology, and it just straight up disappeared.
Yeah,
Well, now we know they went to the void. The
That's
end of
exactly
time.
it. Solved.
I said the Manhattan Project. My dumbass.
It was a major U.S. city. It's okay.
No, it's fine. It's not close enough.
Around the same time.
Yeah, it's all around the same time. His lair ends up being, it's a bowling alley, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like a sunken bowling alley.
Underground. It seems to be in some kind of a inside of an Indian missile silo.
Dude, saying sunken anything just makes it sound like some like mystic shit. So like the sunken bowling alley, like capital T, capital S, capital B, capital A, sounds awesome.
Yeah.
The sunken. I would go to that barcade.
I would.
It sounds like a Hardy Boys book.
I want to see that cover art.
Then we do get to meet President Loki and his cohorts as they were about to. This is the only one that shares the same face as our Tom Hiddleston Loki.
But one of those other Lokis that was in there in his group was also shown in that earlier scene where they're showing Loki examples of other variants. There's one that had like a long beard, kind of looked a little bit like the Mandarin from Iron Man 3.
Oh,
He was part of that group.
Ah.
I missed that one.
Is there a precedent in the comics or anything for like bicycle horns, Loki?
Bicycle horns?
Yeah,
One of
there
them
was,
had a
like,
helmet.
bicycle handlebars on a helmet, like an evil Knievel looking helmet with the bicycle.
I'm going to say no, but I don't think I've read a lot of Loki books.
I just fucking love that tank girl looking ass design.
We come to find out that boastful Loki is the one that betrayed the team, and because he was going to be named the new king of the land, but then, of course, in true Loki fashion, President Loki betrayed that, and then, in more true to the fashion, his people betrayed him,
And then,
Cycle
then-
betrayal.
like
Croaky
he
came in and took out the hand of President Loki.
Now, I have a question. Do we believe that Croaky comes from a dimension of nothing but alligators? Or is it more like a Zootopia type place where he just happens to be an alligator, but like...
I like the second one more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like an
So-
animal land.
So in the Throg storyline, Thor is turned into a frog by Loki. I just assume that instead of just turning Thor into a frog, he turned himself into a crocodile, and then now we're
To
like,
eat Thor.
yeah, and then that's when the TVA was like, nah, you can't do that, and they zapped him away.
Well, no, they zapped him because, according to boastful Loki, he ate the wrong neighbor's cat.
Yeah,
That's true. You're right.
So
Yeah.
there's at least cats in that world too, then.
So would that make Odin the cat that he ate?
I mean, I feel like Odin would be a raven.
Yeah, like
That's
it would
true.
be
Raven
like
or a wolf,
someone's like pet person in some regard, like the fool or something.
I do like how classic Loki and I think the other kid Loki can understand the Croaky and like basically translate for him. It's like, oh, he's praying. He thinks we're all gonna die. It's like, okay.
See, I just felt that was just lying. Like
Yeah,
when he says
yeah.
that that's growling in his language, which is also liar.
I don't think classic Loki could understand him at all. This is just a game he played.
Which is what I wanted to get to, classic Loki. So
Yeah.
classic Loki makes it to be classic Loki because after the point when Tom Hiddleston's Loki dies at the hand of Thanos, that was a fake out.
An illusion. Yeah.
He put illusion in there that the Mad Titan fell for, and when everybody was going, insane for the fact that Loki died or whatever, he sneaks away. Now, this is a theory that a lot of people had at the end of Endgame when they were like, "Oh, or was it Endgame or Infinity War? It was Infinity War.
Infinity War.
So at the end of Infinity War, it's like, oh no, Loki's not dead. He just made an illusion and snuck away in the back. Like all over the internet, people were saying that. So I feel like this was their answer to that. Like this is what would have happened. This is an alternate timeline.
Yeah.
I agree.
But the TVA doesn't come after classic Loki until after he spent generations on this planet by himself and steps off.
Well, so the issue with this is that they only have their like Google search for words, like their Google notification for certain event things or like a high enough thing. If he's just chilling on a beach in Morocco and not talking to anybody,
he's not making a Nexus event because he's not touching what happens within the timeline.
He's not causing waves.
But I mean, isn't that what chaos theory is? As soon as you go back in time, anything you do then manipulates the timeline forward.
No, that's a butterfly effect.
Well,
That's butterfly effect, which is
part of the chaos theory.
But
Yeah.
he said
he goes to somewhere with nothing.
Yeah,
But still existing is different. He's taking up time.
Except the issue wasn't that he chose to live alone. The issue was he chose to try and be better. And Loki's can't be better.
Okay.
That's what caused the Nexus event because he decided he wanted to step off because he wanted to go do some form of good. And that's what got
he wanted to go see his brother because he realized he didn't want to be alone anymore, which is exactly what the other two Lokis realized when they were going to die. As I said,
they don't want
last
to be
week.
alone anymore. Not so much the Thor part.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, not so much the Thor part, not so much the falling in love part between Loki and Sylvie, but it's the fact that they don't want to be alone anymore, or something along the lines of that.
Because Loki's destined to be alone.
Self-actualization. Yeah. Yes.
It's just so good. They made me love that character.
Which
Classic
one?
Loki.
Classic Loki?
Yeah.
I mean, Richard Grant does a lot to make you love him. So.
Oh, also his like straight out arms thing with like the palms down. It's such a specific decision that if anyone who had too much like pride or something wouldn't have chosen to make themselves look like that. The way that he stuck his arms out with the palms down is kind of like almost frail while still straining. It was such a specific choice, and it sold so much the kind of character that he's supposed to be and the effort that he's putting out. Small acting decision, beautiful.
Plus the fact that the construct that the character decides to make of a new Asgard, bringing that back up is such a great character decision on the writer's part, I would assume, or the director's part, to bring back the home that he misses, like the thing that he misses the most.
I feel like it's probably my favorite thing about these Marvel shows as well is that they introduce you to such small characters that you first think is just a joke, and then you end up crying over them.
That's honestly kind of the story of comics in general. Like every time they introduce something small that's new, that's not just like, oh, a Cyclops this, Wolverine that, or whatever. People will add tiny little things into it to put a new stamp of something into like this actual comics lore, and those are always the best parts. John, I interrupted you earlier.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that the special effects and the writing for this episode are probably my favorite of the season. And in combination, the music, when classic Loki is conjuring Asgard, they're playing a version of Ride of the Valkyries, which was perfect for that.
That's what it was.
And I was like, oh, this sounds so cool. And it makes sense, too, because, Valkyrie is referencing, Thor mythology and all that, Norse mythology. I'm going to take it there, by the way, guys. Apologize in advance. I wanted Loki and Sylvie to just kiss already.
No, I think we all did. Honestly, I
think we all were like, you know what? I ship it. I am officially. It is sailing out in the harbor.
but they were
left the dock.
It was just getting so closer and closer, just arbitrarily to zero, but not quite. It's like okay, they're happy to see each other, but they're not quite hugging yet. They're still like stop right before they come too close. They're talking about their things and how like their history of not trusting each other. And Loki's like, hey, like we need to change, or I want to change and be better. And he conjures up a blanket because he's cold, though he's a frost giant, so it's unusual that he would be cold.
Yeah.
And then he puts it around her, and then she kind of makes fun of him a little bit, like, "What is this? Was it a
It's like tablecloth?
tablecloth?" Yeah, and they're like,
It
"No,
does
it's a
look pretty
blanket."
bad.
It's adorably awkward, is what it is.
Yeah, and
it's meat cutie, but not quite
Yeah.
meeting. It's just cute.
And
It's
they're just
so
like
cute.
they're doing this, and I'm like, "Come on, I need this."
It's just you're Mike Tyson with the two pigeons.
Yeah. Now, Keith.
But I will still firmly argue they are not the same person just because they're Lokis, though, because of how it's the nature versus nurture thing. How you are raised changes who you are on a genetic level.
Yeah, but on a genetic level, like their DNA is different.
Yes.
Well, yes. Well, it has to be different because she's got a chromosome that he doesn't have.
Well, I mean, look at
the entirety of the human part of Loki is just like a facade.
Yeah.
So
all their differences would be in their brain development, which is where most of your differences are going to be.
So yes, in personality, but like if the human
it's even
form
more
of,
than that within brain development, though. But yeah, it's.
No, Mitch is still going with them because you said genetically. That's the part.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, I feel like they are different genetically enough.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think genetics plays any kind of important role. I think it's more of like that same chaos theory where different events can lead to a different genetic makeup for someone, but they're still that same person. They're the same person, like spiritually, I guess you could say, or they have the same soul, maybe.
Are you going with a reincarnation theory there, John?
Not exactly. I want to say that they're the same person with just a different series of events that led to their creation.
I'm gonna go with the soul thing.
I mean, both Loki has a little bit more melanin than Tom Hiddleston does.
Yeah.
So they don't share the exact same genetics, but
But see, all those different versions of Loki to me is just like when he's decided to take on different forms, like
since he's a shapeshifter.
Yeah, since he's a shapeshifter. So it was just like in that instance when the TVA grabbed up boastful Loki, he was for whatever reason parading around as a black man with a giant hammer. Like,
I mean, no, that is fair.
I
do think there's also something to just like the thing I said earlier, where the entirety of his human look is this facade with magic. Like you said, like Mitch, like he looked like anything. He's a frost giant at heart, like John said.
mm-hmm.
So are there Lokis that are not frost giants then?
I
I mean,
I don't know. There's something I'm still missing from this Loki thing, I think.
Not if we go with the TVA's sacred timeline. Like there's one timeline where it's always going to be a frost giant was taken and then raised by Odin and Frigga to be Loki. Just happens to be at different points in that Loki's timeline that whenever he took on a different form and did something that was supposed to be not supposed to happen. Loki, our Tom Hiddleston Loki at one point in time was Sylvie or was a little girl. It just happens to be that little girl made a decision at that one point that the TVA was like, all right, you got to come with us. And then in the regular timeline, in the sacred timeline, this is how I figure it. In the sacred timeline, it went back to being Tom Hiddleston again, or went to decide to be Tom Hiddleston.
I don't know if that can be the case.
I don't think that's it.
Yeah, because otherwise Loki would be like, no, yeah, there was that like 3 months in '89 when I was a girl. Like it's there's nothing like that one in there. I think their timelines split earlier than that,
and I think that's where my biggest failing is with the idea of the sacred time. Like, where is the point that the TVA jumps in?
Well, here's my question. Why are we assuming that the TVA sacred timeline is the correct?
It's not.
Yeah,
we're not.
That's what I think.
This is what they've established.
I think the sacred timeline in such that that it's supposed to exist is just the timeline that leads to the creation of the being that is behind the TVA, and they want to maintain that because their creation is not an eventuality. All the other timelines still happen and everything, but
they only care when They only care when those other timelines start to converge towards the timeline that creates them and potentially messes it up.
Yeah. At least that's my interpretation of this stuff.
'Cause-
Whether I'm way overcomplicating it, I have no idea.
Well, because wasn't somebody saying that this is supposed to help us get introduced to the multiverse?
I mean,
Yes.
it's essentially, yeah. Once
So
they
then-
get rid of the sacred timeline, then the possibility of multiple timelines means multiverse.
So what if they're not getting rid of a sacred timeline? What if they're just uncovering that there is no sacred timeline and a multiverse already exists, which is how you get all these different Lokis?
Yeah.
And it's just some construct, you know.
You broke Steven.
No, because I'm happy. I stumbled upon a thing that I would be so happy if this entire show was a device for. But Elizabeth,
As I say, I just, you know, the same construct of us versus them that occurs with any ruling class. You know, they are different and therefore evil.
Yeah,
because
I
we
mean-
are good and pure.
yeah, just the entirety of the word sinister and its etymology. Like that just means that's left-handed, but sinister means bad when we say it now. But no, what if this entire show is just a device to say like go to hell? Everyone who's like, well, that's not my Peter Parker. like if this whole
That'd
thing
be
was
great.
like, yeah, they all exist, guys. It's okay, and you like it sometimes.
It's definitely going to be a lot to. In the last episode is going to have a lot to
episode,
do.
yeah.
So
Yes.
to figure out what it is that it means for the rest of the MCU.
If it's not an hour and a half long movie, I riot.
I don't think it's going to be an hour
It's
and a half long
going
movie.
to be.
It's bad. It's wrong.
Just prep your rioting now. I'm just giving you the forewarning.
Yeah, I know. Does anyone have any links or people to buy cardstock for real cheap? I would like to make big poster boards.
That is not where I thought you were going, but I should have expected that.
Yeah, use our Staples promo code Geek Out.
I have a theory, guys.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I think it's Loki's all the way down.
It's
You
just-
think it's a Loki that created the TVA? That would actually make sense.
Yeah, I think there's a Loki inside that castle that we see at the end, which I think the sacred timeline is in the background too.
oh.
John, just having talked to you as many times as I have, I really thought somehow this was like a curtains match the drapes kind of joke, like the carpet matches the drapes. I really thought that's what you meant at first. I was like,
Yeah, he's got
What?
horns down there too.
I really thought that's what that was supposed to be at first.
Steven, I expected better from you.
He did it.
Well, I was actually trying to be pseudo-intelligent and make a reference to the turtles all the way down theory of the world.
Yeah.
That we're all just kind of on the back of a giant celestial turtle.
Yep,
Yes.
and on top
Traveling through
and
space.
under that there's a bigger turtle and so on and so forth.
Well,
But you know, I don't begrudge you that because I know me. So
so if it turns out to be a Loki, are we going to be satisfied with that answer? I don't think I am.
as long as it still breaks the multiverse and it leads to No Way Home, then
Okay.
yeah, I'm still cool.
All right.
The castle vaguely reminded me of something I saw in the X-Men animated series, but I can't remember what they called it. But it was along the same concept of a castle outside of time. And it was like Magneto, and was it Galactus?
It's
I
just
can't
going to
remember.
be me.
You?
No, me, the character
Me.
from Doctor Who.
Oh, from Doctor Who.
Sitting outside the timeline.
Doesn't she have like a flying like restaurant or something that's traveling through? Okay. There,
I can't remember what
It's the
called.
restaurant at the end of the universe.
that's
Oh,
right.
Yeah,
It's the
but it's on the other end.
Yeah.
Ravonna was definitely had a moment where she was trying to convince Sylvie that they were on the right side, but then she also does want to get to the answer of who is actually behind the TVA because I don't know, does she feel slighted or I couldn't really get a read on on the actress, because I don't know if she is going along or if she actually wants to figure out what's happening.
I think you are seeing the exact reaction that occurs when a cult gets attacked and dispersed, and that several members can't come to grips with the fact that they've been lied to, because if they've been lied to, then they've done things that they can't justify. And there's a certain break that people aren't willing to make all the time. And I think that's what she represents. So I think she wants the TVA to be real, and she has to protect the timekeepers, whoever they may be, because otherwise she is not the person she thinks she is. And that's not okay.
The implication to me was the idea that she did have that whole conflict or like crisis of person and everything, because that's her entire existence. But then at the same time, no matter what, even if that thing is true, if she is a variant and the TVA stops existing or whatever, she might have all of her memories and her life sucked. I don't know. But if they stop existing, she stops being in this position that's outside of time, which sounds like eternal existence in a position of power. So it's kind of lose-lose.
So she's going to play a bigger part in the last episode then?
I think so.
I'm sorry, someone's going to say something?
Oh, I was going to say, we haven't touched up on the fact that Mobius is alive.
That's exactly where I was going next. So
I was happy.
The big reveal, and to save the day in his pizza car, Mobius shows up to snag Sylvie out of the jaws of Alithia.
Alioth.
There it is.
I like Alith. That's good.
Which Alioth was a creature created for the comic books by Mark Grunwald, who is what the basis of Mobius looks like is from.
And that's what the license plate says on the pizza car.
That's right. It says Mark Grunwald in a weird license plate way.
Yeah.
So we can get that, but like there's never like nothing for a lot of the credit for a lot of the people who spearheaded the creation of these characters and stuff. Stan Lee gets a cameo. The guy who made the Cloud Dog gets a cameo.
Yes.
But
who else do you want? Kirby?
Yeah. Give them some credit.
I feel like there's usually something in there in most of the stuff for Kirby, but I don't know.
I mean, like they reference his art all the time. His designs and stuff get poked at, but the whole problem is that people took his art without crediting him by name. Like,
Jack Kirby, just one of the best. But yes, Mobius is back. He helps out Sylvie. He hugs Loki, tells Sylvie that she's his favorite, even though like they only spent a partial afternoon together.
She's everybody's favorite, though.
I guess.
Yes.
And then he heads back to the TVA using the TemPad.
I like honestly, to a certain degree, I don't want to talk about it or anything before like the actual show happens, but there's a Geek Elite thing that we've been working on in the background from time to time, very slowly, to have a new series that kind of plays into this idea. But I've chosen to think that Owen Wilson's character in this is actually his character from the Darjeeling Limited, the Wes Anderson movie.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Lightning McQueen.
Ka-chow.
But yeah, I have chosen to believe that is him.
Okay. I mean, which to me would make a connection to all of his Wes Anderson projects, because he's pretty much the same in all of that. So
that's Wes Anderson characters.
Those are all variants. Yeah.
Yeah, this is true. So, yes, as Mobius is going back to the TVA, he's going to deal out
burn the place down.
As he says, burn the place down. Hopefully starting with his own desk, as he stated in the first episode. But, however, we haven't seen Eugene Cordero's character since the second episode. I can't quite remember. Casey, thank you. Yeah, we haven't seen him around, so hopefully he gets saved.
Boy.
Yeah, Sick Boy. Is it Pill Boy?
Pill Boy. Yeah.
Pill Boy, okay. But yeah, so what is Mobius going to be doing at the TVA? Is he going to be helping Ravonna, or is he going to be fighting Ravonna?
Fighting Ramona.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm torn about whether he goes out and he's like this is wrong and you know it. Like he walks out there to go tell her this, and then just immediately gets pushed right back.
Oh no!
Oh no!
No, see,
Which
I
ma-
want one of those doorways to open, and then it's just like you hold on it for a second, and everybody's waiting for him to come out, and then you just start hearing the motor of a jet ski, and it's flying out through it.
He made a pit stop in the 90s.
And
Yes.
he also says "ka-chow" right when he comes through the door.
Ciao.
That would fit.
So yeah, we have that. I want to say that we're going to get a reveal of Kang, but I don't know if that's true.
There were references in the void.
Okay.
And the Avengers Tower that you see in the background at one point, when you're like kind of zooming in through the city or the ruins, the Avengers Tower has the initials Q, E, and G, which I don't know this, but that video that I sent to the group chat that kind of breaks down these Easter eggs, it definitely talks about how Kang Industries is a subsidiary of someone who is actually in real life Kang the Conqueror.
Oh. All
And
right.
then there was a reference to Kang Park in some other scene. And another notable Easter egg that wasn't very hidden, it was like literally just in the background,
Thanos copter.
the Thanos copter, which apparently is from the comics.
It is. It unfortunately is. Thanos had his own helicopter, and it said Thanos on the side of it.
It's such a like Batcopter looking helicopter though. It's like one of the cheapest ones that they had in like the 60s.
Well, that's the problem. Like 60s and 70s comic books were pretty bad.
They're bad and they should feel bad.
They should. They should. Don't know how comic books survived that era.
Well, I mean, we know Marvel struggled for a while until like Iron Man kind of saved it.
It's true. It's true.
Oh,
Now,
there was a toy version of it.
That's the entire reason those things exist. That's why Spider-Man would always have like a weird like backpack that squirts water as the action figures.
No,
Like just some random nonsense.
my favorite Spider-Man toys were all these like spider bikes and spider quads and spider dune buggies. Like,
Yep, the spider buggy. That's a comic book thing.
yeah, and they referenced that in what's it, Into the Spider-Verse, which is
Yep.
great.
Yep.
So, no, all in all, like there was a lot that I enjoyed about this episode, but I know that a massive portion of why I came away from this episode liking, like enjoying this episode just in general is, well, number one, like classic Loki. Classic Loki's fantastic. You could pluck that story out and then drop it anywhere and it would still be a great time. The rest of this episode, however, and this show in general, I have liked for the same reason that I liked X3, the third X-Men movie.
Somebody could like something from that movie.
I like
Well,
that
no,
movie.
It's all cameos.
You like?
Like it's like as a person who liked the comics already and everything, you're not watching that movie. You're like, oh, that's supposed to be Psylocke. That's cool. I do like Psylocke. You know, like stuff like that. That's interesting
That's fair.
to me. That's why I liked X3. I don't know what Mitch's whole thing was about it.
I also I don't like the fact that the show, to me, like a lot of the beginning part of the episodes aren't very interesting until you get to the end when it's like, all right, here's the big thing so you can come back next week, like kind of thing.
It's anime.
It's
like,
anime.
Honestly, in anime, the thing that happens in every anime episode, like a long serialized thing, is essentially a recap of the previous episode to a certain degree, and then some events that happen, and then a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is true. I don't
Anything
like it.
else that we haven't brought up yet that anybody wants to talk about?
Mitch also likes Blade 3. So
I do. A
his
lot.
spot for horrible endings to trilogies is well documented.
Well documented.
I don't know. I feel, John, there has to be something else from the videos that you wanted to bring up. You mentioning Blade right now makes me remember that you wanted to talk about the fact that they mentioned vampires in the last episode.
Oh, this is true.
Oh, yeah.
For this particular episode, I can't remember now if there was something else specific. I think I covered all the basics on this one.
I mean, we've been going. This is like the longest episode we've done in a while, so it makes sense that we've hit all the points.
Yeah, but there was a lot to talk about, which was great.
Yeah.
The fact that she could enchant a cloud was interesting. I thought that was.
I mean, it's not a cloud; it's a being.
Oh,
It's a cloud. It's a cloud being. It's a cloud-based being. How
Yes.
dare you try to pigeonhole life, Jess?
It's a state of matter, just like any other. I guess in a roundabout way, that did kind of bring me up to one point I wanted to make, is that this is now my favorite show that has to do with underground hatches and smoke monsters.
Wow. I mean, I feel like there's only one other show in that category, so.
And it beat it by far.
Yeah, the category before was just a wash. Like, just don't.
I mean, it definitely puts it in the if you're not first, you're last, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. If you have anybody else has any opinion on this show that you'd like to reach out to us, you can find me on Twitter. I am at Mitchipedia, GEM. GEM stands for Geek Elite Media. Steve, where can people find you online?
You can find me all across social media, some version of Peppermint Gentleman. For Twitter, that's Peppermint Gent. I haven't tweeted. Sorry.
Jessica?
You can find me on Twitter as JM Bailey Writes.
John?
You can find me on Twitter as @MagicBollocks, and tweet at me. Does Mitch like X3 because he's a huge Brett Ratner fan? Let me know.
Elizabeth?
You can find me with the rest of Geek Elite Media at Geek Elite Media and our Facebook page /Geek Elite Media.
Check out our website, geekelitemedia.com, for archived episodes of this podcast and other podcasts on our network. And check out our Patreon, patreon.com/geekelitemedia, for exclusive material that you can only get if you're one of our patrons. Mm-hmm. And whatever podcatcher you use to listen to us, please rate and review us. It helps spread the word of our network.
Absolutely. If you go and like the podcast, it does way more, unfortunately, than you just listening to push us up in the algorithms of stuff. Tell people about this podcast, whichever show on the network you like, and just subscribe. Stick around.
Please. But until next time, this is the Geeks Watch on the Geek Elite Media Network, saying always remember to geek out.
This concludes our broadcast.